What's going on, everyone? So, the upcoming Scream 7 is going to be a Sidney-focused, Sidney-driven film. And I'm curious of how paranoid will Sidney really be? Right? Like, how paranoid is Sidney, and how much kind of precautions and whatnot does she take? Now, I've talked about in the past, like, I could see Sidney being kind of a helicopter parent, a little protective and stuff, just because of her past experiences. But I'm talking like, is she gonna be full fledged? Like, she's got tactical gear, and she's got like, like, oh, like almost like a prison setup. Like, we got barbed wire and like high fences, and you got security cameras and spotlights and stuff, and everyone's like, oh, that's Sidney Prescott's house. I don't imagine that she will. Right? I think it'll most likely just be kind of straightforward, like security cameras. Obviously, she'll be strapped, she'll be ready. But beyond that, I imagine she'd have like plans in place, like Ghostface attacks. This is what you do. But is she going to be essentially like a Laurie Strode? Because that was kind of the thing. Like, Laurie always knew Ghostface was going to be back, or Michael Myers would be back. It had been 30 years, whatever, that Michael Myers was gone, but she just knew. She always sensed that she was always prepared. She never wanted to be a victim again type thing. And you kind of saw that over the top, overbearing, trained her family and stuff like that type thing. Will we get something? I don't think we'll get as extreme as a Laurie Strode, but you have kind of similar kind of ideas, right? Like, where Sidney Prescott, not wanting to be the victim, ready to tear stuff up, always prepared for Ghostface, needs to be prepared for Ghostface, has kids. Like, has she trained her husband? Like, has she trained her children to protect themselves type thing from Ghostface? Or is she kind of just like let them live their life, and she's just always like on the lookout and on the prowl? The other thing is too, is that like Sidney Prescott, right? Like, she hasn't been, like, Ghostface hasn't gone to her to attack her since, Scream 3. So basically, 25 years, and was the last time she was kind of like the main focal point, right? For a Ghostface. Scream 4, like, Jill would have enacted the plan regardless. Like, Sidney was just kind of the icing on the cake, and was the benefit, and like, hey, if I can take her out and stuff like that and then be the sole survivor. But like, nothing about Jill's plan was like couldn't have happened without Sidney Prescott. Sidney also went to her. Like, she didn't set out and have Ghostface set out to go take out Sidney. Scream 5 had literally nothing to do with her. She just injected herself when Dewey died. So then they were like, oh, great. Obviously, Scream 6, she wasn't even in the film. So it's like, you look at the last time Ghostface actually, like, Scream 3 was the last time Ghostface was actively looking for her and going to her. So you're talking like 25 years that, yes, she's had a couple incidents in between, right? Like, but they weren't like, it wasn't Ghostface necessarily trying to hunt her and her family down like what's most likely to happen in this film. Right? She's kind of just, she's either injected herself or just kind of bad place, bad time type thing. Right? So to me, I don't know how crazy over the top she'd be. Also, her like, so I've talked about, like, is she gonna be like known as Sidney Prescott? Because there's already the Sidney Evans. We even got the from Marco Beltrami, that like, hey, there's going to be the Miss Evans song and whatnot, and then is she like you saw in Scream 3? She was Laura. She wasn't Sidney Prescott. She was Laura. Right? Dewey knew who she was. Right? Ghostface was trying to find her, but that was old thing. I mean, even Ghostface, pretended and was calling her Laura and stuff like that. But she was hiding like a recluse named Laura. Right? So does she kind of, is that how she's kind of blended into society? Because you gotta remember, she's like a big celebrity in the Scream universe. She's went on book tours and had movie deals and all kinds of stuff. She's suing to make the money. She's probably got a pretty penny. People got to know who she is, right? So does she just kind of stay low key? Right? Does she want to kind of keep things hush hush? Right? Does she want to kind of, let, not draw attention to her and the idea? Or does she kind of look at it as like, I know it's inevitable. I know at some point my past is going to haunt me. Because you got to think her family hasn't been in danger in that, for how long her kid's going to be, in high school and stuff like that. And, so you're talking basically the entirety that she's had a kid. She hasn't had to deal with Ghostface and had to have her family be in jeopardy. So, I mean, even if you want to include, like, count Scream 4 as like, hey, that was, Sidney focus and whatnot. Okay, then still she hasn't, by the time we get this film, nothing's happened in 15 years. The one Ghostface attack that actually happened had nothing to do with her. She injected herself. That was just her. That was her going after Ghostface, not Ghostface going after her. So does she look at it as like, my family, I have been basically safe the entire time operating a specific way. Does she want to change that up and now draw attention to it? Right? Or does she kind of keep it like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to, keep my head down, keep, heading, working hard and just own the bar and settle into the small town. And, because she already did the whole recluse thing. She already did the whole, crazy people can't find, or can't, killers can't kill what they can't find type thing. Right? Where now she kind of learned, like, okay, like, I can't just hide for the rest of my life. And now she's got a husband and children and all these other things. It's like, you got to imagine that she's good. I want to be clear. Like, I would be pretty confident she has a plan in place. I'd be pretty confident that she has kind of things that, like protocols and stuff. And I'm sure her family knows. I do think it would be kind of interesting if, like, maybe her daughter doesn't really know. Like, her daughter doesn't know, like, to the extent, like, she knows of the stab film and stuff like that, but maybe she doesn't know, like, that's really after the mom, about the mom and things like that, especially the later stab films, because it kind of got off the rails and stuff. So maybe she's kind of a little oblivious to it. Right? Like, that could be kind of an interesting thing, but you got to imagine that people would know, unless, like I said, she's been living as, Sidney Evans, or does she have a different name? Right? Is it, whatever, Laurel Evans or Laura Evans, right? Is it something like that where it's like, she's not going by Sidney, so people don't make the connection or whatever. I think that there's some interesting creative ways that you can kind of go about that and approach that. But it was just kind of a thought. How extreme do you think Sidney's going to be in this upcoming film? Like, do you think she's going to be full-fledged, like I said, she's militant in an extent? Right, has this whole plan drawn out, like what's the show, the show that have like the bunkers, like the Doomsday Preppers, yeah, where they like, bug out and stuff like that. Like, does Sidney have those kinds of things? Does she have like a bunker somewhere and stuff like that? Anyway, again, just a fun thought. As always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.